WILIGHT, and ain't no other pony trolling down like me. I'm Twilightlicious.
Sorry, we had to.
We're Twilightlicious.
Brownylicious, you mean?
Yeah, Tail Zero.
JTH and our Sonics.
And we had Twilight in there for a minute.
Yeah, we did.
We were going to do part 3 of
Lunaughty?
Yep.
So, what kind of question was it you wanted to ask me anyways?
Oh yeah, JTH. What does the scouter say about how many words are in this chapter?
It's over 5,000!
What, 5,000?
Yep, 5,000. So this is gonna take a while.
Possibly half an hour. So let's do
But
it.
anyways, here we go. Luna? Celestia poked her head past the... Excuse me. I burped.
I know, I do that. They don't annoy you.
Celestia poked her head past the door of Luna's study, hoping to find her sister there studying equestrian tax laws like she had been doing for the past week. Sorry, my soda's making me do this. This is, as you can see, my drink, cranberry ginger ale. Love that stuff. Celestia entered. Luna, I wanted to talk to you about something. Are you in here? Celestia entered the room, taking a good look around. Sure enough, the study was empty. Not even a book was left on her desk. Moderately perplexed, she exited the room and began to stroll around the castle, hoping to find her sister's whereabouts. She wasn't worried about Luna, no more than she had been in the past few days at least. But she got something on her mind that she wanted to ask her sister. So far, all of the guards and scholars had asked had not yielded any worthy information, but she was convinced that her sister could provide some. She came upon the door to Luna's bedroom, noticing that neither of the 2 night guards were anywhere nearby. That's odd. Why would Luna not want any of her guards by the door? They would surely be there unless she had directly ordered them not to be.
Hint, hint.
With her curiosity piqued, Celestia began to investigate further. She approached the door and quietly lifted her right hoof, giving 3 small knocks. Luna, are you in there? She called softly. No response. Luna? She knocked a few more times, noticeably harder. No response. Luna? Celestia gently fed her magic through the doorknob, using it to open the door. She knew this was her sister's bedroom, and she normally shouldn't do this, but she allowed herself a quick peek into the room, just barely sticking her head in as she looked around for a few moments before her gaze fell upon a lump on the bed. After watching for a few short seconds, the lump was visibly raising and lowering, indicating that the bed was occupied. Assuming it to be Luna, Celestia simply began to speak. Luna, are you awake? It's not like you to be sleeping at this time.
Not Luna!
The lump in the bed sheets shuffled slightly. Celestia, taking that hint, this time she was in fact awake. Sister, I wanted to talk to you about something that's been on my mind. Something very important. Would you care to listen? No response. I know my constant apologies and somewhat random spurts of thought have been pestering you as of late, and I know your studies have been leaving you exhausted. But I think this one's important. Please? The lump shifts slightly.
That's Luna!
Okay, well, it's about what happened a few nights ago. I know you've already heard me go on about it before, but this is different. It's more than just an apology. Celestia took a few steps in, half her body visible through the door while the other half still sticking outside.
Damn it, I don't want to click on that picture.
You know that a long time ago, I cracked for one of my first times in my rule of Equestria when my Molestia side came out. It was locked away with magic, and every other time it came out, or the seal got weakened, magic was used to put it back in. Some artificial means of mental suppression of a side of me that's, well, me isn't healthy. And every time the magic was used, I used to never feel that dark side of me. It seemed gone forever until the seal broke or weakened again. But now, with what the elements have recently done to me, it seems gone forever in the seal. But it seems the elements have recently done to me. It's locked away again, and I have full control, but I can still feel it. It's there. I can sense the distant rumbles in my mind. It's not an airtight seal. And this is allowing me to think something that I've never thought before. The lump shifts slightly but stops. Celestia walks into the room fully, closing the door behind her but still keeping distance from the bed.
What's she gonna say when it's not Luna and it's Twilight and she finds out that what Luna did, oh my god.
It's trying to whisper something to me, Luna. Something about what I'm doing. I can almost whisper it back, but it's too far from me. Recently I've been thinking of better ways to communicate with it, with my other self, but I haven't been able to think up any. I've even contemplating letting it out again to see if I could reason with it. Like it was expecting different results.
Not a good idea.
But I think I may even be going crazy now. The lump shifts slightly and light mumbles can be heard. Luna?
Boys.
Is there something you wanted to say? The bed shifted again, more mumbling heard. Celestia hesitated, but slowly approached the bed. As she grew closer, however, she noticed the lump was not exactly Luna's size, but smaller.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Luna, why are you curled up in bed like that? Is something the matter? When Celestia reached the side of Luna's bed, she heard soft yet barely audible talking from under the covers. Yes, Celestia, I would love to be the leader of the Equestrian Unicorn Guards.
Derp.
Anything for you.
Derp.
That voice. It can't be. A scenario suddenly played out through Celestia's mind, a scenario that she had not even begun to fathom. Not only was that voice not that of her sisters, even in this sleepy state, but that voice was one of the lifelong dreams of some pony else very close to her. That identity matched the voice. Regardless of the fear in her mind that she might be right, Celestia began to beat magic through her horn and focus them into the sheets. Slowly she took the sheets down, revealing the figure hidden beneath them. Celestia's body jumped, her hoofs taking a few steps back as she looked utterly horrified. Celestia stared, her mouth agape as she tried to dream of this as some sort of prank her and her sister had decided to play on her, but there was no questioning it. That mane, that horn, that lavender hoof sticking out, it could be no pony else's. Closing her eyes, Celestia focused magic onto the sheets again and yanked them off the bed, flinging them across the room. She opened her eyes slowly and found herself staring at the figure of Twilight Sparkle in Luna's bed.
Not good.
No, she whispered to herself. Not Luna, too. Please. Celestia examined the bed closely, noticing a large dark area around Twilight. Taking one hoof out of its royal shoe, she placed it gently on the darkened area, feeling it around slowly. It's cold and damp, she thought to herself. She's been sweating a lot, and Celestia looked over to see a second similar dark spot near on the bed. So has Luna. Celestia again looked over at Twilight, reaching her hoof over to shake her awake, but after several attempts, Twilight did so much as grumble or groan from someone disturbing her slumber. Feeding magic through her horn again, Celestia ran a magical detection spell on Twilight's body and mind. Just as I thought. A sleeping spell. Luna did this on purpose. She's trying to cover her tracks. Shows she's not just out to molest ponies, she's being crafty about it too. I would never have figured this out and had not come to her room like this.
But she's doing this on her own free will.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Celestia began to work a counterspell on her horn as she plotted out her next moves. She cringed at the thought, but knew that probably a whole squad of royal guards would have to go out and search for Luna, maybe even to gather up the elements of harmony to use against her. Again. But then another thought hit her, an idea, a way to not only help save her sister and the other ponies, but to save herself as well. If she's going around and assaulting other ponies like this, just like I did, Celestia thought, preparing to cast the spell on Twilight, then perhaps if I can talk to her, I can see exactly how she feels. I figure out more about my dark side and myself as well. But are they both the same? Somewhat.
Yeah, tiny bit. Excuse me, by the way.
Well, this is a new development, Luna thought to herself as she peeked through the inner door to the club. Most of the mares from earlier were still there. Yep, this is the same. Like I told you, this is the same place. Most of the mares were still there, but there were also two more occupants at the bar with Colgate and Carrot Top. Another Earth Pony and a Pegasus who sat next to Colgate, who she had originally planned to return to the two from before, and they asked a concerning about Brave Punch and led them into another dark alley and used them both. But that may not work now. The addition of these other two, especially the Pegasus, who might be a fast flyer for all Luna knew, may be too much for her to control at once, while still keeping her presence in Ponyville unknown to mass populace. In order to pluck another one out, Luna needed a new disguise. With the surge of mag,
Holy
Luna...
shit, dude. Sorry, my
What?
friend sent me like 1,000 pony pictures.
Really?
Let's see what it's all about.
Luna's body changed form again. Her coat shifted hue to a solid pink with her mane that shifted a tail to dark blue. Her mane was slightly poofy and arranged in pigtails, while her tail was knotted at the base, making it look like a ponytail, literally and metaphorically. Lastly, her cutie mark brought her into an image of a telescope and an open book, with a few stairs in front of the telescope lens. There, all set with her new name, fresh in her mind. Disco Lens? Trotted through the door of the bar, heading straight for the group of friends. Oh god, I wonder who she's going to use next.
Knows.
What if it's Derpy?
I don't think I'd put it past her, to be honest with you.
Do you really think she'll be gone all night? Shirley asked as she looked back and forth between Colgate and Carrot Top. Oh, I'm almost 100% sure we won't see her until tomorrow, Colgate remarked. Seeing how she and that other mare ran off, they'll probably be at it all night.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't surprise me if they just ducked into some alleyway on their way somewhere and just went at it. Well, that does sound quite a bit like Barry. Shirley touched her to her chin, looking down briefly. What'd you say the name of that mare that went off with Barry? Starshine, Bright Glow, the third, I think, Carrot Top said. Kind of a long name, but I'm positive on the Starshine part. Got a violet coat, blue mane with a white streak, and a bunch of stars for a cutie mark. Ever seen any pony like that before? No, I can't say I have, Shirley sighed, while Derpy Hoof simply shook her head in reply. Well, anyways, Colgate began after a few moments of silence, it looks like we're just going to be one pony short of a full house here. Even so, we should all still have a fun time tonight, right?
Until the newly disguised Luna shows up.
Yep. Hello there, came a voice from behind the cluster of mares. All the mares turned around and saw a mare with a solid pink coat, a dark blue mane with pigtails, and a cutie mark with an open book, a telescope, and a few stars. The mare smiled happily as she approached the four friends, looking at all of them, each one at this time examining each. Well, hello, Shirley was the first to reply, her voice cheerful. I'm sorry, but have we met before? I don't seem to recognize you. Oh, well, it would be surprising if you did, I guess, the mare replied. My name's Disco Lens. I'm new here in Ponyville. I just came to this club by place to see if I can meet any new friends. I'll be your friend, replied Derpy with a soft voice, a smile appearing on her face. I like having friends.
Who doesn't?
Aww.
We have everybody needs friends.
Hold on a second, Colgate interrupted. Her eyes narrowed as she stared at the new mare. You're new here to Ponyville, right? Yes, that's correct, Disco replied. You're the second new mare we've seen here tonight, Colgate stated. She took a closer look at Disco Lens's cutie mark. There was another mare here by the name of Starshine, and your cutie mark is pretty similar to hers. You wouldn't happen to know her, would you? Starshine? Disco's eyes shifted from left to right for a few moments as if she looked panicked. But then she seemed to perk up in confidence. Ah, yes, my sister. Starshine is my sister. We both just moved here from Canterland. We're simply looking around the town a bit before we go to bed. I came to this place and thought I might get a bit of a head start on making friends while I'm out. Were you traveling with your sister? Colgate asked, suspicious. Do you know where she is? Well, no, but I assume she's already been here since you already know her name. Yeah, she sort of just ran up with one of our friends to get laid, Carrot Top said.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds quite a bit like her, Disco snickered, slightly looking down for a few moments. So anyways, what are all of your names? My name's Colgate, and these are all my friends. I work at the dentist office here in Ponyville.
Colgate. Mm-hmm.
I'm Carrot Top. I farm and sell carrots while I take care of my little sister. I didn't know Carrot Top had a sister.
Me either.
My name's Derpy Hooves. I'm just the male mare, though I really like muffins.
Nom nom on the muffins.
Oh, Derpy and her muffins. I'm Shirley. I work at the elementary school here in Ponyville. Disco paused for a moment and stared at the few of them. She appeared to be deep in thought for a moment, then she looked as if she licked her lips slightly when she glanced at Shirley and Derpy. Uh-oh. Well, she finally began, I used to work in an astronomy school in Cantra. I love reading and teaching, so it sort of works out like that, I guess. Also, she sneaked a glance at Derpy. Oh, shit. I can bake some really good muffins. Derpy perked up and smiled, her derped eyes even slowing off her happiness, as they seemed to correct only slightly.
Caress or correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So you're a teacher then too? Cheerily asked. What grade level? I actually teach intermediate school, older colts to younger stallions who have yet to reach high school. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun at the same time.
Yeesh.
I've been thinking about moving up to intermediate schooling, but I just love my little fillies and colts too much. They mean the world to me. You can understand, can't you? Oh, of course. I have my own group of precious students. They tend to get into trouble on a regular basis, but they're almost like my own, even if it is just a job. I feel the same way, Cheerily beamed, as if she could make some sort of connection with the new mare. The two went back and forth between their teaching subjects while the rest of the group of friends seemed to just sit there and watch. Eventually, Colgate and Carrot Top went to their drinks and began their own discussion, but Derpy continued to listen as she softly sipped her drink from time to time.
What kind of drink would Derpy be drinking? That's my question. Would she be drinking like whiskey or something?
Maybe muffin-flavored juice.
Is that even real? That'd be awesome.
I don't know.
That'd be so awesome. I'd like to try that. You know how I am when it comes to food.
So where's your schoolhouse located? Disco asked already, having sat down next to Cheerily earlier. Just on the outskirts of Ponyville, near the park. It's over on the west side.
I'm thinking that Shirley is going to be the next victim.
Yeah. Can we go visit there? Disco seemed to lean closer. Sure, maybe tomorrow before class. I can show you. No, I mean like right now. Disco smiled, leaning close to Cheerily as Colgate's ears perked up from what she just heard. Seems like Colgate's a little suspicious of everything that's happening. I think she has sort of a sense of what the heck's going on.
Yeah, tanks.
I know tanks. I knows.
You be jerk now. Okay, I'm looking.
Right now? But it's dark and there's not really much to see when... That's alright. I'm an astronomer, remember? You can show me to your school while I show you all sorts of constellations and arrangements in the sky. It'll be like a field trip. A field trip? Now that I think about it, I don't really know all that much about stellar constellations. Perhaps a nice stroll outside for a bit would be nice, as long as it's educational. Bingo! I should... Hold on. Bingo! That's better. Can I go too? Derpy spoke up,
Uh-oh.
after getting the attention of Colgate and Carrot Top as well. What's this? Is the fun about to be doubled? Oh god, classic Luna quote. Don't tell her she's gonna have fun with both of them.
Well, this is...
If that's what I think it is, all I can say is, oh crap, here we go. You're leaving too, Derpy? Carrot Top asked. Yeah, I just want to tag along until we get to my house. I don't really want to leave my little muffin alone at night, and I miss her. Aww. Don't worry, Derpy. You can tag along. Shirley smiled happily at her friend, and then back to Disco. Shall we get going then? Sure thing, Disco exclaimed. It'll be I've got loads to talk about, so let's get going. With that, Disco, Cheerily, and Derpy said their goodbyes to Carrot Top and Colgate before leaving the establishment. Once again left alone together, Carrot Top and Colgate exchanged glances.
Moish.
How many times is this going to happen tonight? Colgate asked in frustration. I don't know. How many sisters do you think she has? I'm not sure, but if there's any number above what I'm thinking, their parents must have had a hell of a time raising all of them.
Yeah.
Classic. Okay, guys, here's my home, Derpy says. She stopped in the middle of the street. She looked to the side towards a house that seemed almost identical to the others, except this one had a mailbox with her cutie mark on it. Alright, I'll see you some other time, Derpy cheerily called. Disco, I will continue on our way then. And you tell your little muffin that I will see her tomorrow morning. Okay, Cher. Have a nice night, and see you too, Disco. Derpy waved goodbye, and as she floated towards her door, she entered her home and closed the door behind her, leaving the two by themselves while Disco made a mental note of Derpy Hoop's home. Oh, no. Don't tell me what's going to happen later on, what I think is.
Yep.
Shall we continue on? Shirley asked Disco. Of course. I can't wait to get there. Disco replied. I know we're going to have a lot of fun at this educational adventure of ours. Oh, a lot of fun indeed, Luna thought inwardly. The two continued forward, Disco naming all the constellations in the sky while Shirley oohed and awed in amazement. By the time Disco had almost lost herself in her preaching, they had reached the schoolhouse. It was dark as it always was at the time of night, yet the door was never locked. Shirley led Disco through the main door and flicked on the lights, illuminating the room. The two entered, Shirley taking the time to give Disco the grand tour of a single-room building. As she was nearing the end of the tour, Luna had made up her mind on her next actions. She began to repeat magic as through her figure as Shirley was facing the blackboard. And up here is the alphabet display. It's usually not needed, but my younger class still has a few students that are completely settled with all 26 letters yet. I see. Do you think they will learn them soon? Disco asked, her figure beginning to glow bright as she began to increase in size. Of course, Shirley replied. They're all growing and learning. It's all part of the glorious adventure of education. Glorious adventure of education, huh? Disco replied, her voice now different to Shirley, which she began to notice. That sounds like a great idea.
Oh.
Disco? Shirley turned around upon hearing the voice of her companion change. As she did, she caught the sight of the remaining distinguishing aspects of Disco's appearance and morphed head that magically changed turning into Princess Luna. The princess stood before Shirley, her eyes wide as she grew a large grin. Shirley's eyes also went large, and she began to back away, her hoops jittery from shock. Princess Luna? Indeed, it is us, your one and only mistress of the night, Luna spoke, her gaze locked onto Shirley as she approached the mare. And now, shall we teach you some very important lessons?
I don't even know. You know what's gonna happen.
Without warning, a collection of multiple leather straps formed behind Luna and flung themselves towards Shirley, lapping around her limbs and waist. Unable to get free, Shirley was forced against a desk. Her front facing downwards while her back legs were held down low off the edge, her rump fully displayed.
Hello?
What?
Did you notice?
Did we notice?
Did you notice the balance?
Oh,
yeah.
yes. It looked very nice, actually.
Yeah, it does.
Came out nice.
Sorry, it's my mom.
Yeah, we're trying to...
Oh, who are you talking to?
Nobody, we're making a video.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize.
It's okay. That is, JTH.
Daddy!
What?
You're looking at me funny.
That's JTH's mom. Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah. Facing downwards, her rump fully displayed, dangling, I guess she probably meant to put ganging out the edge. Her four legs were brought back behind her, tied together with another leather strap, while her legs were strapped to the stands of the desk she was pinned to. Lastly, a piece of cloth was materialized before her, floating in the air in front of her face in a few moments, wrapping around her head, covering her eyes, and acting as an affecting blindfold as the knot just above formed the back of her neck. Princess Luna! Shirley cried out, her body struggling against the restraints. What in Equestria are you doing?
She is not aping you. What?
Perv.
What? It's what she's doing! At least I'm not lying.
Hush now, Luna suddenly scolded as she stuffed a hoof against Shirley's mouth. With another flash of magic, another leather strap appeared, only had a rubber ball strung in the middle.
Ball gag.
It was quickly fastened to Shirley's head, and the ball fit snugly into her mouth, while the ends were tied around her head just under the blindfold. Shirley fought against the restraints more, but the more she did, the more it seemed to tighten around her. Luna looked over towards the blackboard, noticing a large ruler laid down against it.
Oh no.
She grabbed it with her magic, swinging over immediately, slapping Shirley's rear with it. She cried out loudly, but the cry was muffled from the ball stuck in her mouth. She tried to spit it out, but that did nothing as the ball was secured firmly in place. Again, Luna slapped the ruler against her body jolting from pain as her tail twitched lightly. We are the teacher now, and you are the student. Luna brought the ruler over and rubbed it against Shirley's chin as she spoke. We shall talk, and you shall listen. We shall question, and you shall answer.
That's a Halo reference! That's from Halo!
Well, we shall question, and you shall listen?
Yeah. We shall talk, and you shall listen. We shall question, and you shall answer. It's a Halo reference.
I don't know, I never played a whole lot of
that's
Halo.
That's from Halo 2.
Huh.
I've heard that before.
Answer. The ruler moved back over to where it was, slowly gliding its length across Shirley's rump. We give a command, and you shall do it. Do we make ourselves clear? Is that from Halo also?
No, just the question and answer thing.
I think she said yes. Good. Luna smiled triumphantly as she moved towards Shirley's front. Her chin just barely rested on the edge of the desk. Luna's magic worked on her ball gag and unclipped it, keeping it secure around her head, but allowing the ball to be released from her mouth and hanging below her head. Please, don't do this! I'm sorry for whatever I did. Luna quickly shoved the ball gag back into her mouth, immediately following up with a hard slap against Shirley's rump with the ruler. Shirley tried her best to scream, but both in pain and horror, but the ball gag reduced it into mere muffled noises. You shall not speak unless we say so, Luna spanked her again, causing her body to jolt another squeal to escape her again. You are under our command, both body and mind. You shall obey. Do we make ourselves clear? Shirley muffled out a slow nod, a tear beginning to drip down one of her cheeks. Good. Now prepare yourself, Shirley. Luna unhooked the ball once more, freeing her teacher's mouth.
Yes! Fucking AJ. Sorry, I found a picture of...
Luna unhooked the ball once more, freeing the teacher's mouth. Open wide, but do not speak. What the fuck? Derp!
I think she's going to make her do something very interesting.
Yeah, you're right. But just look over the pictures, I'll read it. Shirley did as she was told, opening her mouth as much as she could. She waited for a few moments, feeling nothing, but in a few moments suddenly began to push its way past her lips and against her tongue.
Oh boy.
It was hard and slender. Its tip almost pointed as it glided further into her mouth.
What?
Shirley began to panic, but ultimately stayed still and stuttered as it pushed into her throat. At the angle she was at, it was straight from her mouth all the way down to her stomach.
I'm confused. What is it?
But most of this wasn't necessary. When the object stopped being pushed in, Shirley could feel something on her lips and face, something light and delicate. Taking a few small sniffs, she could make out a type of soap brand. It was Luna's hair. In an instant, she was pushing her horn into her mouth and down her throat.
The hair again?
No, she's...
no. Sticking her horn, okay.
Luna's horn is in Shirley's mouth.
I thought they said, not the hair again. Thought we got rid of that on Molestia.
Don't forget, Luna's mane and tail isn't as long as Celestia's.
That's true.
Hers is like 5 billion times longer.
I'm gonna probably compose another tweet now. Go ahead, keep reading.
Luna had heard the small gasp that Shirley made upon realizing the identity of the object entering her, but this did not faze her. She pulled her head back, almost taking her horn out fully before pushing it in again. She repeated this over and over, speeding up gradually as time progressed. Shirley coughed and gagged a few times, her oral cavity coating Luna's horn in saliva, making the slides down her throat easier. As Luna worked her horn, she also began to work on the ruler, taking it and sliding in the middle of between Shirley's haunches.
No.
Her magic ruled the ruler back and forth slowly at first and gradually picked up the speed and synchronization with Luna's head. Okay. There we go. We demand you work your tongue on our horn more, Miss Shirley, Luna said sternly, jerking her horn a bit harder than usual one time.
Messed up.
Exhaling a gag out of the earth plane. We also demand that you not leave a spot untouched. Shirley hesitated for a moment, but began to work her tongue around Luna's horn as it pushed in and out of her. Her head was bobbing ever so lightly from the object pushing against her, and her legs were twitching slightly from the sensation spawning from between her thighs. Eventually, Shirley closed her mouth around the horn, allowing her to use both her tongue and her lips on it. Luna moaned softly at this point. Her breath was hot as she began adding more pressure with the ruler while moving it faster. Shirley cringed but found herself giving out a small moan afterwards as well, forced from the sensation of the ruler rubbing against her. Luna pulled back suddenly, her cheeks flushed slightly as she stood tall before her captive once more. Shirley gasped out when the horn was pulled out, panting softly as her body settled down to the ruler also coming at a stop and pulling away from her. Luna looked at her for a moment, then began to move around behind her. She stopped when her front hoof was behind her flank.
Oh boy.
Raising up a hoof, pressing against one of her inner thighs, she slowly rolled her hoof up the leg, pushing against Shirley's lower pelvic region as she began to knead her hoof against her most center area. Are you a bad girl, Shirley? Luna asked, grinning wider as the ruler took position a few feet from the schoolmare's rear. What? Shirley was confused, her mind trying to think of what Luna's words meant, but her train of thought was cut off when the ruler slapped against her rear again, making her squeal out loud.
Oh my gosh.
We said, are you a bad girl, Shirley? Luna pressed harder, more magic focusing onto the ruler. No, I'm not. Honest, Ah! The ruler slapped harder against her rear, leaving a slight outline this time.
No.
Are you a bad girl, Shirley? Luna growled, her hoof digging through her fur. I don't know. Ah!
Oh my
Again,
god.
the ruler struck her bottom, leaving another mark. Her body trembled more, tears beginning to flow down her cheek. Are you a bad girl? Luna's hoof dug in deeper, twisting it side to side, jolting through Shirley's lower body. Ah! Yes! Shirley finally cried out. Say it again, Luna ordered her, stopping as she began to lay flat against the edge of flat against Ed and against her coat. I'm a bad girl. Again, Luna pushed her hoof back and forth slowly, applying a small amount of pressure. I'm a bad girl, Shirley moaned out slightly, the sensation of pain dissipating as it was immediately replaced by pleasure. Again, Luna growled, her hoof speeding up the pressure, increased, sending waves of pleasure through Shirley. I'm a very bad girl, she moaned out more, tears stopping as a spot of drool began to creep from her lips. How bad? Luna felt herself getting hotter than before, her rear legs twitching slightly in anticipation. So bad I need to be punished. Shirley began panting hard, sweat forming on her coat while her limbs twitched almost uncontrollably from the sensations pouring through her. How much? How much punishment do you desire? Luna moved closer, placing her second hoof on Shirley's side as magic began to feed the straps that bound Shirley's legs and waist. Her hoof moved faster, pressing down even harder and more furiously against the Earthmare's wet, sweaty coat. More, much more. Please punish me more. Shirley cried out almost at the top of her lungs before she let out a long, hearty moan. At that moment, Luna immediately stopped servicing her as she undid the leather straps around her. Afterwards, her magic focused on the small man, flipping over on her desk and laying flat on her back. With Shirley's blindfold still on, Luna pushed herself onto her, pressing the mare firmly back against the desk and forced their lips together. Without hesitation, Luna's tongue shot through her lips, pushing deep into Shirley's mouth as they lapped around hungry while her lips seemed to desperately kiss the schoolmare's. Luna's front hoofs were pinned directly on top of Shirley's desk behind Shirley's shoulders, keeping her still while her back legs applied forward pressure from being planted on the ground. With the Earthmare's limbs flung around her body from motion, Luna wasted no time pushing her hips forward against hers again and again. She deepened the kiss as her hips thrust back and forth, rubbing their bodies together close as they made out. Their breaths were hot and their tongues danced around each other, both moaning through their lips, and Luna continued pushing their bodies together. Luna's actions were fast and ferocious, wasting no time to get full speed and strength as her body bore down against Shirley's. Their chests and stomachs slimed together as the areas between their haunches drove together tightly. Shirley couldn't withstand the overwhelming sensations pouring in through her body. When the hot passionate kissed into their bodies grinding together, her mind was scrambled from the intense pleasure. Any desire of escape had been lost, and Shirley found herself wanting more of the mistress of the night.
I need to say something that's kind of, off topic, but I recently just posted a video on YouTube thanking a fellow brony that helped me, a lot, telling...
Jack's Blade.
Yeah, his name is JacksBlade07. Just to, say, yes, everything I said was true, and you need to go check out Jack's Blade's channel. This guy is amazing, and I appreciate everything he did for me, even though he doesn't even really know me at all. But, thanks, Jack's Blade. I appreciate, you helping me gain the courage to do what I needed to do and tell people that I was a brony. So, bro, to you, man. Now let's keep reading.
Eventually, she began to buck her hips against Luna's, moving in perfect synchronization as the two undulated furiously. The desk skidded and creaked time and time again, and being pushed around slightly with almost every What the hell? Slightly with almost every thrust Luna made, regardless of the goddess pushing almost directly downward. After almost 10 minutes of making out their bodies pushing together, Shirley could not take any more. She let out a few loud moans and going forwards, forcibly pulling her head back from Luna's to moan out loud at the top of her lungs as she gave a few hard last bucks with her hips. After those, she took a deep breath and collapsed on her desk, her body hot, sweaty, and spent. Her legs went limp and her body slumped back while her mind went blank as she passed out of consciousness. She lay on the desk, her breath still heavy, her eyes fully closed with her body dripped with perspiration.
Ugh. The sweatness.
Luna stopped her movements when Shirley did. She was sure the schoolmare had passed out. She began to lift herself off the smaller pony. Her breath was also heavy, having exerted a rather large amount of energy into her subject. But she felt satisfied, not completely, but much more than she had after Berry Punch. A few more itches had been scratched, and with Shirley effectively knocked out, there would be plenty of time to scratch a few more. She slowly backed away from the desk, taking time to examine her subject one more time before turning around to walk out of the schoolhouse, shutting off the light behind her. She slowly began to walk back to town, her mind running through her options for more targets. She considered going directly to the Dirtbag one's home, but decided against it, as she would want to make sure she was asleep before going there. In order to do that, she needed time, so she thought of no better way than to go back to the pub and snatching up Colgate and Carrot Top. Luna laughed a bit inwardly, amazed at her own level of aggressiveness she was giving out.
Oh, dear.
My, Mistress of the Night, you sure have gotten yourself into some crazy adventures this time. But oh, what fun this will be. Luna looked up towards the sky, beginning to change back into that of Disco Lens. It seems with only one pony, I had to only satisfy myself a little. But with two at once? Oh, the fun shall surely be doubled. End part 3.
Wow.
So we finally read all the words of over 5,000! And this has almost been 40 minutes.
Wow.
Wow. Well, anyways, this is JTH.
And tells her.
We are saying goodbye for now. We will see you in the next part.